everybody, Raimi here. Today I'm live, going to talk about a few different topics today. I want to talk about Apple Arcade. I want to talk about an experience I had using Tor at my university this week. And I also want to talk a little bit about rules in gaming, something I've been doing it was the assignment due in my class last week. And I just want to kind of talk about developing rules for like a game, for any type of tutorial really. All right. Let's see. Let me just make sure I'm all set up here. And yes, I am all set up. All right, make sure I can see my chat. Yes, I can see that. Okay, looks like I'm good. Okay. Hold on. Perfect. Okay. First news of the week, Apple Arcade. Okay, so if you didn't see my video and you haven't been paying attention to what's happening, you can see it on my screen here as I'm scrolling around. Apple released something called Apple Arcade. Really cool idea. You get a free trial of 1 month, and then afterwards it's $4.99 per month, which is actually not bad considering what you get out of it. So let's talk about what you get. And I can kind of scroll down and show you. So first of all, you get a bunch of games. The games actually look really cool, which is kind of exciting. So let's kind of scroll down. You can see some of them. They look like they have good graphics. They look a lot of fun. I mean, the games actually look really exciting. I think I like this Sonic racing game looks pretty cool. This game looks really interesting. Lego Brawls, a multiplayer game with Lego characters. I mean, just looks really fascinating. So I'm really excited. Here's a bunch, you know, they say hundreds of games that are going to be released. But it looks pretty cool. And here's what you get for it. So you get unlimited access to these hundreds of games for $4.99. You get access. Oh, they changed it up to 6 family members. That was 5 family members like 2 days ago. The things that I really like about it, especially when I'm thinking about like my kids and teenagers and stuff, is that it's ad-free, which isn't just an annoyance for people. And then in addition to being ad-free, there's no microtransactions. So like I've told people before, I created a video on this. My son, River, 6 years old, even with parental control, spent $450 on microtransactions in 1 day this summer by mistake. He didn't really know. I mean, he's 6, so he didn't know what he was doing. But you know, and I had to get it all returned, and I did get my money back. But the fact that you can't do this with Apple Arcade is really nice. So I think for $4.99, Apple Arcade's kind of cool. Here's the big downfall, and I said this in my video that I made the other day, that kind of annoys me about it. Okay. The big downfall, and you can see the downfall right here, it only runs on your iOS devices. So like it's only going to work on my iPhone or my iPad or my Mac computer, which I don't even have a Mac computer. So it doesn't work on my PC. I'm a PC gamer. I think a lot of people have PCs. And I think especially like the gaming community has PCs. Okay, but fine. Apple's like, you know what? Forget that. We don't need the gaming community. We're going after our own thing. That's fine. Here's the next downfall. Who am I going to buy this for? I'm going to buy this for my kids. The problem with it is my kids don't have an iPhone, and I'm not giving my kids an iPad. I know my kids, and they're in elementary school, they have tons of technology, but you know what they don't have? They don't have iPads. Why? An iPad is $700. Kindle Fire tablet that every parent buys for their kids is $29 on Amazon right now. So parents aren't buying their kids these iOS devices. So I think that there are some hiccups that Apple's going to need to get through. I think this can be successful, and I think it will be. And I'm really excited to see them push it out. I just think they really need to make it more available to people. At least available on PC. I don't care that it's not available. I mean, make it so you have to use Safari. That's fine. But it's got to be available on PC, or it just doesn't get it for me. Even if it was an only mobile device thing, that's just not enough. It's really got to be available on PC. Or I need to be able to run it on my kid's tablet. And I'm not buying my kid an iPad. And I think a lot of parents are there with me, because every parent I talk to, it's like, yeah, we got our kids this Kindle Fire for $30. It meets all their needs. That's what parents are looking for. Okay. That's Apple Arcade. Pretty cool service. I think it's worth trying out, but it's not something and you know what? I don't need another subscription to something. I don't want to pay $5 more or something. So if you have any questions about Apple Arcade, be sure to ask me, or if you have any thoughts about it, be sure to ask me. I am going to look forward. I haven't tried it yet. I'm going to definitely do the free trial. It's just like a bad time in the semester for me to try to do something like that. I'm doing a million other things right now. Totally don't have time to try this service out, but it does look cool and I am excited. I'll try it out. I've got an iPad and I've got an iPhone. I don't enjoy playing games on my phone either. I like being on the computer, but whatever. We'll see. I'm really curious to see in like 8 months, 6 months, like next quarter, how successful this service really was. Okay. Next topic. No questions on that. Apple Arcade, you have questions, go ahead, type away. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to my next topic. Next topic is Tor. Tor. Do you know what Tor is? So let me open up Tor. And I've talked about this before with people. Actually, just recently. I think in my video last week or 2 weeks ago, I've been kind of, we had the hurricane and then I've been sick all this week. Ooh, why is it showing up like that? I swear having multiple monitors messes up more things than not. All right. So here is Tor. Tor is a web browser. Tor is the secure web browser. Originally developed in partnership with the Department of Defense for security. It was designed and developed to be a secure browser. Why is it so secure? Because it reroutes all your traffic through various servers so that no one can trace you, so that no one can see what you're doing, which is really cool. I mean, I love it. It's free. It's a group develops it for free by people. It uses Facebook as like the backbone, or not Facebook. It uses Firefox as the background for it. So it's a great browser. Obviously, it's a little slower because it's rerouting you through different servers. Like I could probably see right now where it's going to reroute me. Oh, I'm not going to go and look for that, but I can get like a different identity, and it's a great browser. And the point of the browser is that, let's say like I don't want anyone spying on what I'm doing. Tor prevents that from happening. No one is spying on you unless they're like recording your screen. No one is spying on you. So like if I'm at work, or let's say I'm even at home and I'm like researching something that I don't want anyone to be able to find out, I can use the Tor browser and they can't find out. So an example of when this is good. Let's say like I work for an organization and I don't want them seeing what news sites I'm looking at because I don't want them to know about my politics, or I don't want people to know if I have a health problem and I'm researching that. Or let's say like I'm a whistleblower at my company and I don't want them to find out, or I'm researching a topic that's really like controversial. I'm going to use this, or like I'm a newspaper journalist doing a really like hot story. I don't want people to spy on me. I'm going to use this browser to keep my privacy. On the flip side of Tor, this is where the dark web is. And people who want to do illegal things do it on here to also remain anonymous. So there's a flip side to Tor. While it's great and does all this great stuff and I love using it, there's also a reason that it can be bad, and it is used for bad things. And sometimes when people are trying to run scams or do illegal things, sell illegal things, do illegal things, talk about illegal things, they'll use this browser to protect themselves. So it's a good and bad. So there's good things and bad things about Tor. And I like to tell people about that, hey, this is also used for bad, so they understand. Because sometimes we say this technology is all great, but we don't always think about the bad things that come about from it. And so there are some bad things that have happened because of Tor. Now, having said that, let's go to the topic at hand, the reason why I'm even talking about this. So the reason I want to talk about Tor is that I was using Tor. I always use Tor when I'm on campus and when I'm at my university, because I'm under the opinion that it's really nobody's business what I'm doing online. I don't like it. I feel like someone snooping, seeing what I'm doing online is like them coming to my house and going through my closet. Like there's no reason anyone needs to do that. So I was using Tor on campus, and I've been using Tor on campus for years. I've used VPNs. I've used all kinds of stuff. Okay, so I used Tor. I was only on the internet for like 5 minutes, and I don't even think I did anything but check email. Okay. So I'm home that evening around 4 p.m. I'm home. I get this email from our IT administrator, and he's like, um, your computer's been flagged. It has the Tor virus, or it didn't say virus. It said like it has Tor like .exe on it. If you would like us to remove this malicious content, please do so. Otherwise, if you want to uninstall it yourself, that's fine too, and we can rescan your computer. And I thought maybe like they thought I installed it by accident, and it was just like some security check. I was like, whatever. So I just responded back, and I was like, oh no. I responded back, oh no, I'm sorry. No, it's installed on purpose. It's not spyware or anything. I'm actually using it. So I get an email back again, and it's, hey, I'm sorry, but our policy is that you have to remove this. You can't use it on university machine. So let me talk about some of the issues there. And I responded like, fine, that's fine. I'll delete it. Because the person sending me the email is totally not their policy. And it's probably like a lawyer created that policy somewhere down the line, like leadership and lawyers together like to do all kinds of things like that. They're being very protective because I just told you Tor can do some bad things, but it's also really good too. So I get it. And here's what I get. I get that if someone was on university property using university equipment and they were doing something illegal with Tor, could the university be held liable for that? Quite possibly. I'm not a lawyer, but I would assume they could probably, I don't think they could really be held liable for it, but someone could sue them and they might have probable cause. Like there are some issues. So I completely understand the university's no tolerance stance for people not using Tor. I completely get it. And that's why I was like, I'm just going to delete it. I don't need to cause problems. It's not that big of a deal for me. But on the flip side of that, does this violate academic freedom? Is that kind of the point of academic freedom, that I can research things and look things up without having the university, spy on me about it and know about it? Because if I am like, what if I was looking up something about someone at like the president or the vice president or my dean or whoever, but what if I was doing something like they did something and I was looking something up about that? Like, I need to be protected in those cases. So a browser like Tor should be allowed for those reasons. So it's a very, I get it. It's a very sensitive issue, and I think it's a good discussion to have with university administrators in IT about Tor specifically, and look at some of the positives and negatives, and maybe do talk to legal and see like, is this something that's violating academic freedom or not? But I don't want to come at this as like an activist and be like, we should be able to use this, because I get their side of it and I don't disagree with it. So I think it's a good discussion to have whether something like this should be allowed or not. Because I feel like what happened is they probably just said, let's be on the safe side and ban this. I don't think there was like a real discussion about it. Maybe there was, and I just don't know about it, and I just need to know about it. But I think it's a good discussion worth having, and it's something to pay attention to for those of you who are like out working at your job. Try to use Tor at your work and see if you get a message from your IT saying, hey, we noticed you're using this browser you're not allowed to use. I think it's a good experiment. Like, do it if you're a teacher or you're working in corporate. Like, try to use Tor and see if you get flagged by your IT department. I think it's a really cool experiment, and something that would be interesting just to see, like, how many companies or schools like really are looking. And it also tells you like they are spying on you. Like it completely said, like, we are watching what you're doing. We notice you use Tor browser. So it's very interesting. Anyway, okay. So having said that, done with Tor browser. Someone said, ha, whistleblower. Yeah, I mean, but seriously, in those cases, this is the kind of browser someone would use. I mean, that's really what you would do is you're like, think about like, I for some reason, this example always pops in my head. I remember like, I can't even remember the name of the movie, but it was about like the cigarette industry. And I feel like, who was the guy? Al Pacino was in it, and he was like a reporter investigating the cigarette industry, and they were like trying to ruin his life about it. But when you're doing that kind of investigate, or you think of like Erin Brockovich, like investigating what it was at PG&E on her whatever the movie was. The movie was called Erin Brockovich. You know, when you're doing that kind of investigation, you want to be very private and secret and secure. And this is the browser you use to do that. So it's interesting. Anyway, okie dokie. Next topic. And final topic. Well, I have one other topic to talk about today too, as well. And I'm still recovering from being sick, so I'm like a little off today. I'm just a little tired. I'm not necessarily feeling myself so much. I just had a cold all week, and it's been just like, I think today's like the end of it. I feel better today, but I still think it's like kicking out of my system. Okay. Rules for gaming. So in my gaming class, I assigned this assignment where I had all the students tell me the rules of tic-tac-toe. And I did this assignment for a few reasons. And I explain a little bit in the assignment why I think it's important that they can do something like this. But I don't think all the students necessarily get like what's going through my mind when I assign something. You know, sometimes the purpose is a multi-purpose assignment, even though it's like a simple, or, you know, it's an introductory activity in my class. Like, hey, we're teaching a gaming class, write all the rules for tic-tac-toe. Like, there's a bunch of reasons why I give an assignment like this. And some of the reasons are because I want to see how a student like thinks rationally. So like, you know, most students gave me the rules of tic-tac-toe, but they weren't very specific. And what I mean by very specific is, you know, did you say in the beginning, like, you need a pen and a piece of paper to do this game? Or did you just say the rules? Like, there is a checkerboard, or there's a tic-tac-toe board with a grid, and you put an X and an O. Like, some students were very specific, like, you need a pen, you need a paper, here's what you draw, here's an example picture of what you draw. Or some of the students just had like 3 lines, like first person puts an X, first person puts an O, whoever has 3 wins. Like, so it went from very specific to not very specific. But one of the things I like to talk about, this is as a trainer, as someone anyone who's interested in like computer logic, like, or computer programming, or just, you know, I realize this so much as I do computer programming. I really see this, but I also recognize this now that I have little children. I see it when I talk to them. And how do I have to talk to my kids? I talk to my kids the same way I talk to a computer, which is very interesting. I'd really like to almost do a study like on how parents talk to their kids versus the computer logic, like how you teach a computer to do something, because it's very similar. You have to define what everything is. I can't just say to my kids, put an O down on the piece of paper or put a circle down. I need to show them this is what a circle is. This is how you do it. What do you mean by 3 in a row? I have to show them all the different ways. What does it mean by 3 in a row? I have to be you get very, very, very detailed. And this is the way a computer thinks. And one of the reasons I like this activity so much, it's very simple. I also do a similar activity in another one of my classes where I do a task analysis, which is like all the steps. And I tell my students to write down the directions for making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I actually had this activity given to me when I was in 2nd grade. I so remember my teacher doing this. It was awesome. So what he did, and it's funny, my 1st grade teacher and my 2nd grade teacher were husband and wife. So this was the husband in 2nd grade. And what he did is he said, what are the directions for making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Write it down. And as a 2nd grader, I mean, you know, you're 7 years old. What do you know? You know, so I wrote down the directions. Mine were terrible. Everyone's were actually really bad in the class. No one actually told him how to write a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So like we would write things like put your peanut butter on the jelly and between, you know, on the bread between 2 pieces of bread. And what he would actually do, and maybe I should do a whole video where I do this activity because it is hilarious. He'd be like, he'd put the bread down. He wouldn't even take it out of the bag, put the jar of peanut butter on top. Because, you know, you didn't say, take 2 slices, open up the bread bag, untie the twisty, take 2 slices of bread out of the bag, put them on a plate. Unscrew the jar of peanut butter. Take a spoon, This is what a spoon is. Take a spoon, put it into the peanut butter, scoop out the peanut butter, spread the peanut butter. Like, that's specific. And you learn a really valuable lesson from that activity that you know, so it isn't necessarily this very, very simple explanation. And someone just wrote, yes. So for the assignment, they had to describe playing tic-tac-toe with a computer. But when you think about the logic of tic-tac-toe and how specific you can really get, and you start to think about, well, if I'm talking to a computer, how specific do I need to be? The thing is, when you're talking to a machine, you have to be more specific than when you're actually talking to a kid. Because the machine doesn't understand what O is, what X is, what a grid is, what anything is. So like when I define something, when I'm programming something, the first thing I do is I define all my variables. Like this is what an O is, this is what an X is. So I get very specific. So it was a really good activity because I could start to see how my students think. And I liked seeing it because some of them were very not specific and some got really, really, really specific. And the thing is, I'm not focusing on programming in this class at all, but I do want them as students of mine to start to see how that translates. And because they're going to see it in their other classes, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get them from writing those directions to writing very specific directions when they're closer to being done with the program. So it's one of the reasons I like activities like that. It's really fun. It's really good just to kind of see like what everyone's going to write. Like without me being specific, just saying, give me directions for a game, seeing how specific someone really gets. And I get sometimes people are rushed and you just don't always have time to do it. And I think everyone knows how to be specific, but it's just thinking about that and starting to think like, well, how does a machine think? How does a computer think? It's a very interesting activity, but I think I need to copy my second grade teacher's activity with the peanut butter, and I need to do that example as a video because I think it's a really good lesson, and I really like it. But that has stuck with me since the second grade. I so remember the activity. I remember everyone's faces, and like I just remember it so well because it was such a good lesson. So I try to bring that lesson into it's funny, I bring the same lesson my second grade teacher taught me into my graduate classes because it's still such a good lesson. It's something I need to be reminded of all the time as well because you just forget. So anyway, those are my main topics for today. There's one other thing I wanted to talk about today. Okay, hold on one second. Just let me pull this up. Okay, what am I... Oh, here we go. I'm going to pull this up onto... Let me get it on my screen here. There we go. All right, so... For those... Oh, and I got to pull this up on my... I guess it doesn't matter. Okay. Hold on a second, guys. Oh, why are you so little? There we go. So, we did have the esports tournament. UNCW so we formed an esports club in the spring semester. Well, it really didn't start until the summer. We got approved. We had our first tournament on Friday night, and I have told some of you guys about this, and I did create a video about it. But just really quick, we weren't sure what it was going to be like. We had a tournament on Super Smash Brothers. We had 70 participants. We had like 100-some people show up. People brought their kids. I brought my son, Kai. These are just some of the pictures from the tournament. Let's see. Can I go through these? No, I can't. I don't even know what these pictures are. I can't just go through all of them, ironically. But here's some of the pics from the tournament. Here is the setup. So let me explain what the setup was. So what I did here is, so then the game used the Nintendo Switch. So here's a little 32-inch TV, and this is what the people who were playing were going to look at. Because when you're playing a video game, if you're not like a big gamer, you know that like a 24 to 32-inch screen is as big as you can look at because you need to be able to see everything. And it's the preferred screen of gamers, so it's what you use. So this was the two people playing would play right here and look at this screen right here. Then we had speakers. You can see my speakers. The speakers emitted the sound so everyone could hear the sound. We had a projector going so that everyone who, couldn't see this little screen would be able to see what was happening. And then we had a computer here. And what the computer was doing was the computer was actually recording what was happening so that it was going to be streamed live on Twitch. So pretty cool setup overall. Let me see. I have an example of some people playing, so you can kind of see what it looked like when someone was actually up using the screen and what the whole setup looked like. Yeah, it was really cool. Here's what the computer looked like. Oh man, you can see what it looks like as I was capturing the stream. We had a bunch of prizes, pretty cool. We had like some UNCW gear, like some swag, like sweatshirts and t-shirts. Some cool stuff people donated from the university to have a fun tournament. We also got to play some virtual reality. We had, some MIT folks and department folks messing around with some VR, having some fun. We got to do some cool stuff like that. Let's see. And just finally, here's a picture of the line of people signing up, which I just thought was absolutely awesome and crazy, that there were that many people interested in this. So it was a lot of fun. Pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, that is it for today. That's all the stuff I wanted to talk about, really, those 3 topics, and just talk a little bit about the esports tournament. It was a lot of fun. But we're going to have another one soon. So hopefully people are interested in it. Yeah, that's about it. Anyway, guys, have a good day. Have a good rest of the weekend. And I'm going to start to have these a little more. I'm going to have I think I'm going to pick a weekly time that makes a little more sense so everyone just knows it's going to be weekly at this specific time so people can come on and ask me questions and just kind of prepare for it. And it'll help me with my schedule because this semester I've been a little... we had the beginning of the semester and then we had a storm right away, and that just and then coming back from the storm, it's like trying to get everything organized. I'm finally there again and ready to move on from that. So, all right. Anyway, y'all, have a good day, have a good weekend, and be safe. And that's it.